This is the first of what I'm hoping to start is quarterly trainings or questions on different things with the industrial pretreatment or water conservation or things like that that could affect the industries that are covered under the industrial pretreatment program. So today's is going to be on the periodic report on continued compliance. Understanding and filling out your PRCC. I know there's been some issues and questions on this, so we'll start with this. If there are any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to ask then or put them in a chat. All right. So today we will cover the requirements, the general information section, the sampling information section, reporting your results, and the certification statements. So to start with the requirements, they fall under 40 CFR 403.12, Section E, Section 1. And these state that any industrial user subject to a categorical pretreatment standard after the compliance date of such pretreatment standard, or in the case of a new source, after the commencement of the discharge to the POTW, shall submit to the control authority during the months of June and December, unless required more frequently in the pretreatment standard or by the control authority or the approval authority, a report indicating the nature and concentration of pollutants in the effluent which are limited by such categorical pretreatment standards. It's also stated in the Dayton Sewer Use Ordinance, Section 502.05, Part 3, that any user that is required to have an industrial waste discharge permit and perform self-monitoring shall submit to the director during the months of June or December, unless required on other dates or more frequently by the director, a report indicating the nature of the effluent over the previous reporting period, the frequency of monitoring shall be as prescribed within the industrial waste discharge permit. So of course, we tend to require that more often than the June and December. For most people, the monitoring periods are monthly. There can be requests to go to quarterly depending on the violation history. And there's also the zero discharge industries that report a zero discharge certification quarterly. Okay, the general information. The first one to look at is this monitoring period up here. Please make sure that those dates reflect your current monitoring period, whether it's the previous month or the previous quarter for which you're submitting this report. Then, of course, you fill in your company name and your address, and then you submit your flow information, the most important one being this total flow as a sample location, while also making sure you mark whether it is a measured or estimated flow. Next, we move on to the sampling information. So this is where we fill in the type of sample you have, so whether it's a time proportional, flow proportional, or a graph sample. You'll fill in the sample site ID code, the person collecting the sample, and these, of course, are for any of them. And then if there's a contract lab doing the sample, you put that information in there, and then you'll put down if it is a automatic proportional or a manual proportional, which means do you have a sampler automatically taking it, or are you manually grabbing those samples every so often? And then, of course, you fill in like any other information that you have on these. A lot of this will be included in the lab report or the chain of custody.
Well, and that closet, and at the bottom of that. Yeah, I'll find something to go to it. That's fine.
Next, move on to the reporting results. Sorry. Next, we'll move on to the reporting results. So at the top, you'll put in the laboratory that was used for analysis. And then if you have been provided a BOD to COD conversion factor, that will go up here in this box. Not everyone has one, but if you've been provided one, please put it in there. And then we move down into the parameters. So you will fill in the concentration in milligrams per liter for each of the parameters that you have run. The instructions up here state that if you haven't run that, please put an NA in those boxes. Then the other part is this method detection limit. That is the MDL that will be listed on your lab report. If there is not one there, please contact your lab and have them put or provide that to you. That needs to be the MDL or the method detection limit, not the RL or reporting limit. So please double check that. And the other thing is to make sure that all of these are reported in milligrams per liter and not some other unit such as micrograms per liter. Those tend to be a lot of the common issues that we see in this area. The other part is just make sure you check which type of sample it is. Was it a composite or was it a grab? And that should be most of the issues there. If once again, if there's any questions on this, please feel free to ask. Otherwise, you're more than welcome to call Inez or I with any questions at any time. The other part of the reporting is any additional samples that are taken at the sample site specified in your lab or in your industrial waste permit is to be reported on this attachment A. If you don't have one of those and need one, let us know. But it's basically the same kind of thing. You put in the date, the flow for that day, the results for the different analytes that may have been ran. And then down here at the bottom, there's a section for you to put the MDL. There's the certification statement that needs signed, a title and a date on this page. And then this along with the lab report will be attached to the back of the PRCC. And then we get to the certification statements. So this needs to be signed by your authorized representative. Usually this is some sort of manager or owner or something like that. If you have any questions about what an authorized representative is, we can get you that definition and walk you through that. But so your authorized representative will sign it, put their title and the date. And then you have the TTO or the toxic organic certification statement. That is required for some industries, generally categorical ones that.
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hello, Andrea?
Yes.
Hey, where are you having the meeting at? I got my guys there, and they're in the training center.
Oh, it's an online one.
Oh, no. Okay. Well, I didn't know. I thought that's where it was at, so they went there. Okay, I'll get back to them then.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Bye.
Bye. So we have the TTO certificate, certification that is to be signed if your company has chosen to certify in lieu of testing that you've not discharged any toxic or total toxic organics into the waste stream and are implementing a current toxic organic management plan that is on file with the city. So in conclusion, the main things here is double check your dates, the dates at the top of the PRCC on the monitoring period, the dates of sample collection, and dates for signing to make sure that the report is signed and submitted by the 15th of the month following the end of the reporting period. The other thing is to make sure that the data on page 2 reflects what was reported in the lab report. So that makes sure that you have updated all the necessary data points, that you have entered them correctly with the correct number of zeros and decimal points. Make sure they are in the correct units in the milligrams per liter, and making sure that the MDLs and not RLs are what is being reported on that section. Also, make sure the correct certification statements are signed by your authorized representative, making sure that you have an authorized representative or know who is supposed to be signing this. Making sure that they are signing the certification statement at the top and signing the TTO certification statement if needed. Make sure that all lab reports for all samples taken at the designated sample site are reported and submitted, and making sure all parameters required by the industrial wastewater discharge permit are being tested for and reported. I know we tried to make sure you guys are aware of any changes that may happen, but it doesn't hurt to make sure you're checking your permit periodically to make sure you are testing for all required parameters. And that is what I have for the presentation. So are there any questions, comments, concerns? All right, well, it's not seeming like there are, so this was a quick overview, it seems like, and it sounds like we'll be done quite early today. Once again, if you guys do have any questions, comments, concerns, need clarification on anything, please feel free to contact your industrial pretreatment coordinator, so either Inez or I. We are more than willing to help answer any questions, and would rather, answer the questions beforehand than contact you guys saying, hey, there's been a violation or something like that. So I guess with that, this is finished.
Andrew, I have a question.
Yes.
So is there like if we had a question about something, just trying to like think through hypothetical, is there like a preferred method or time frame that is asked prior to the report being due on the 15th?
I guess the preferred would be before you send it in. I mean, obviously you have to have it submitted by the 15th. I mean, if it's on the 14th and it's something you guys can correct, or even on the 15th and something corrected and in real quick, that's fine. If it's something a little more complicated or a little more involved, probably a little longer than that.
And like email, phone call, does it matter? Is it like, do you all have a preference?
I don't really have a preference. I know sometimes, it's, I can't say one is quicker than another to get a hold of me. I don't know for Inez.
Okay. That's helpful. Thank you.
Mhm. All right. Well, if nobody else has anything else, any other questions, we are done. And thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Mhm.